deep, it's Satania all alone. Touchdown! Touchdown! Blown coverage, Isaiah Satania, 58 yards. Sooner magic on a Saturday night.
Van Buren the snap, fakes the handoff, play action, under pressure, throws down low.
Bat it down! Bat it down! Pete Bowen batted it down! And you can unhitch the wagon! Put the ponies in the barn!
There's the snap, takes the knee, and that'll do it. If the college football playoff is a beauty contest, the Sooners are showing up with ripped jeans and missing one shoe. It ain't pretty, but we're invited.
What a cool moment. Isaiah Satania was pretty special. He is somebody on the stat sheet that looks pretty dang good. Just a room full of a bunch of misfits, and they believe, and they're kind of grimy, and they like it. You know, they like it. So we'll see what is in front of us right now. Man, I'm super thankful to be their coach. And, man, they just got the right stuff. All the stuff that you can't put a price on. You can't put a measuring stick on. These guys got.
Indeed, indeed. Yes, they do the right stuff. They got it. And the Sooners are going to be in this college football playoff. And the Sooners feel pretty confident after the results from yesterday that Oklahoma will be hosting a college football playoff game in Norman. That's going to be fun, and we'll find out in short order here what day is that contest. Is it Friday, December 19th? Is it Saturday for Oklahoma, December 20th? Who's coming to Norman? I feel pretty confident after the conference championship games that Oklahoma, they should be a college football playoff host. And just looking at the results from yesterday, obviously Indiana, a thrilling Big Ten championship game victory over Ohio State. I think pretty clear that Indiana will leap up to number one in this college football playoff bracket. Ohio State, I don't think tumbles out of the first round bye positioning, and Ohio State might still check in at number 3 today. We'll see. I think Georgia will jump up. They'll be the number 2 seed in this thing. Maybe Texas Tech at 3, and then Ohio State at 4. But really from there, with Oregon, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma all idle, and with Alabama losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game, it feels pretty clear that Oklahoma should just stay right where it's at number 8, and be a college football playoff host. Welcome in. It is the CFP reveal show today right here on the Ref. Hi to everybody on the text line right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Feel free to chime in with us. Gunny, I see you. A bunch of you. We'll start ripping through some of your texts in just a little bit here. 405-651-3439. And on YouTube, what's up, everybody? We're about to find out where the Sooners are headed for the college football playoff. And I should say off the top as well that our college football playoff reveal show is brought to you by the great folks at Landers CDJR of Norman. Landers CDJR Norman.com. They are wrapping up their wrap up the year sales event. They've got new 2026 Ram trucks where you can get the best warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty. Shop with confidence at Landers CDJR, knowing price advertised is the price you pay. And again, Landers CDJR Norman.com. That's where you can head. So it will be interesting. I think the big storylines going into this college football playoff bracket reveal is Alabama going to fall all the way out of this thing after what happened in the SEC championship game? The thought was, okay, if Alabama goes and wins that probably, puts Alabama where they leapfrog Oklahoma, and then all of a sudden you're going on the road. And at any rate, with Alabama losing the way that Alabama lost, the conversation has turned to, is Alabama going to get left out? I think probably Notre Dame at the very least, and most of the projections out there look that way, that Notre Dame would head to Norman, which that'd be a heck of a matchup. A couple of programs, then said it last week, a couple of programs that can feel that they've been disrespected a little bit. Notre Dame and the Miami debate has raged on, and so the Irish can maybe feel a little bit disrespected with how folks have talked about them. And Oklahoma with what Joel Klatt and others out there, Chris the Bear Felica, folks aren't enamored with who and what Oklahoma is offensively. So that would be an interesting little battle of disrespect between two college football blue bloods if it comes to fruition, Oklahoma hosting Notre Dame. A lot of the projections out there are painting that picture for OU, that it will be Oklahoma hosting Notre Dame. ESPN, they like OU versus Notre Dame. CBS, OU versus Notre Dame. The Athletic, OU versus Notre Dame. On 3, little bit, that's the lone holdout there, a little bit of a twist from On 3. They've got Miami coming to Norman, Oklahoma, which I think the big storylines you're watching in this deal, obviously for us, our attention, who's coming to Norman? Who's playing Oklahoma? And feels like Notre Dame is the most likely bet, but big picture in this college football playoff, is Alabama going to get left all the way out of it? Does Miami suddenly get in after what happened to Alabama in the SEC championship game yesterday, where offensively, rushing the football, it was ugly for Alabama. They lose the SEC championship. Alabama did the one thing yesterday they could not do, lose in the fashion in which they did, 28-7. Ty Simpson did not look great, but running the football for -3 yards in that SEC championship game. And then, okay, what's going to happen with the final conference champion? Is Duke getting in to this college football playoff? Do they stick with James Madison? Duke was not ranked. Now, in the last college football playoff rankings that we've seen, Duke was not ranked. Now, we don't have a committee and a system right now where we find out what, the receiving votes category looks like in this deal. So there's really no good way to tell how close or how far away was Duke to leaping past James Madison going into conference championship weekend. But Duke beats Virginia in the ACC championship, and that has opened the door to the ACC getting left out entirely. Darian Mensah and Duke in overtime over Virginia. Though the Cavaliers drive down, they tie it. They take it into overtime. Duke, a touchdown pass from Mensah, and then the game-sealing interception. So Duke, the ACC champ, and the debate rages. Do you put Duke in? Does James Madison stick? Let's hear Grayson from Manny Diaz, who, here's how Duke won the ACC. It sounded like this, Duke winning the ACC late last night.
They go to a trick play. Taylor threw it back to Moore. It is intercepted! Intercepted by Luke Margot! And Duke has won the ACC!
Great call by Sean McDonough right there as they won it. Afterwards, Manny Diaz, he's got to politic this thing. Duke head football coach Manny Diaz, he says Duke should be in the college football playoff. This was in postgame, some of Manny Diaz's thoughts.
Well, there's two parts of it. One, we knew we belonged, and we felt like we were not being treated like we belonged in this setting. We felt like we didn't earn our way into this game, which we did. We know we played poorly the first time that we played against Virginia. Yeah. So we felt like we could be more physical. We could run the football. We could play a lot better on defense. We got stops on possession downs, which we struggled to do in the first game. And then we grinded it out. We screwed up the last 2 minutes of the game and had to play a little bit more. But then when Mensah had to make a couple plays, like this one right here to Hazley, I mean, that's elite quarterbacking play, and we feel like we have an elite quarterback.
With that being said, how do you expect the CFP committee to respond to this?
If they're really paying attention to football, they're going to put us in, right? Because when you play 10 Power 4 games, and listen, full credit to James Madison. They had a really
Sure.
good season, right?
Yeah.
But they play one game.
Yeah.
They have no wins against Power 4 teams, right? We won 7 games in this conference this year, just beating a top 20 team that had 1 foot into the playoff, right? I mean, there's a body of work that we've done that no one else has done, and certainly they haven't done. And if we're going to reward playing hard schedules and doing those types of things, we have to stop looking at weird metrics and whatever. Like, real ball team played out there today, and the better team won, and that team deserves to go on. Darian Mensah should be playing in the playoffs, right? Yeah. And he should be doing it with the Duke Blue Devils.
So Coach Diaz doing what Coach Diaz should be doing. He's telling you Duke's the ACC champion. They should be in. And one more from Manny Diaz, who said that, look, he's excited to find out how this college football playoff committee is going to rule on Duke as an ACC champion versus James Madison.
Well, if they have new information, right, and so no one should make a decision based off of incomplete information, which is why I always feel like the weekly polls are kind of a farce anyway. Now the full resume, the full information is available. And this guy, right, this guy should be quarterbacking the Duke Blue Devils in the college football playoff because of the player that he is, the team that he is. And yeah, we had to learn through some of those losses, and those losses are the reason why we're a champion today. Without them, I'm not sure that we have had the wherewithal to recognize what it takes to pull out a game like this against an outstanding Virginia football team. The ACC Conference champion should go to the college football playoff this year and every year, and we'll be very excited to find out how they rule on that tomorrow.
Well, should the ACC champion get into this college football playoff? That's a big debate here. Duke trying to state its case. Manny Diaz trying to state the case for Duke. But a lot of folks feel like the way that the ACC set up the parameters for tiebreakers for the ACC championship game is going to turn around and bite that league today. They didn't get Miami into the conference championship game as the highest-ranked team in the CFP rankings, the last CFP rankings that we saw. And again, we just don't really know. Anything could happen in that regard today. A lot of folks would, I think, feel like conventional wisdom is, look, James Madison should be in. Virginia, if they had won the ACC championship, that's the final conference champion that gets into this thing. Duke shouldn't magically, out of left field, leapfrog James Madison. But it's a fair argument that Manny Diaz is making about the schedule that they've faced versus the schedule that James Madison has faced. But the ACC not setting the situation up to where the highest-ranked team in a tie-break scenario plays in the conference championship game just wasn't all that bright. And everybody signed up for this system where the 5 highest-ranked conference champions get in. So that's going to be an interesting debate to see how that unfolds today. Alabama, I think, they've got to be on serious pins and needles as we sit here and watch. The college football playoff rankings reaction show with us, by the way, again, is brought to us by Landers CDJR, Landers CDJR, Norman.com. Wrap up the year sales event that's going on. New 2026 Ram trucks get the best warranty in the business, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. A large selection of pre-owned vehicles at Landers CDJR, Norman.com. And again, all of this today is brought to us by Landers CDJR. We are watching live. If you're just joining us, thank you for being with us on the KREF app. You can search and download the KREF app and get us every single day, 24/7, 365, anywhere in the world with the KREF app. So thank you for listening. If you're listening on the radio side, great to have you there. And I know many of you are watching along on YouTube. Jim in Arlington, Oklahoma has the worst resume of all the teams. Joel Klatt, T. Boomer Sooner, what's up, Sooner Nation? A bunch of you. Let's see, James, we're hosting either Bama or Miami. Notre Dame's out. The committee will put Miami in as a favorite to the ACC. I don't think so. I think the committee's kind of told you all along what they think about Miami, and the committee likes Notre Dame better than it likes Miami. Now, Miami might find its way into this college football playoff bracket just by virtue of how poorly Alabama played and looked yesterday in the SEC championship game versus Georgia. Again, the one thing Alabama could not do, Alabama did. in the SEC championship game. So, going to be interesting. I definitely am of the mind that Alabama will not be coming to Norman, Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma stays put at number 8. There's no reason for Oklahoma now to slip a spot. There's no reason for Oklahoma to jump a spot in these rankings. And but Alabama, I think, at the very least, after what happened in the SEC championship game, you can't leave Alabama at 9, I don't think. And I don't believe the committee will do that today. I think Notre Dame is the obvious choice to be headed to Norman to take on the Sooners. Some of you on the text line, I should start ripping through some of these texts from you guys out there as well, which, by the way, you can always chime in with us right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans, via the text line 405-651-3439. We're watching along live with the college football playoff reveal show on ESPN. They have not revealed the bracket yet, and as soon as they do, we obviously will be just sharing that with you live. The schedule, by the way, for us on this college football playoff reaction show presented by Landers CDJR, myself off the top, table setting here until we get the official look at what this bracket looks like. I'm Josh Helmer, by the way. Many of you know that. I don't know if I said, hey, good afternoon, good morning. I'm Josh Helmer, but welcome to the Ref, everybody. Teddy and Tyler around the corner. They'll join us at 11:30. We'll take a short top of the hour break, limited commercial interruption today right here on the Ref. It's just hot and heavy reacting to this college football playoff bracket for OU. And then at noon, Steelman and Thune at noon, a fitting spot for those guys, right? They'll join us then. Dari will join for about 20 minutes at 12:20, and then TJ will join us at 12:40 to put a bow tie on our coverage of the college football playoff reaction show right here on the Ref. So that's what our schedule looks like. As I said a couple of days ago, it's a parade of Ref personalities today, and it's going to be fun to get everybody's reaction in real time today to what this bracket looks like for Oklahoma and just in general. I mean, how nice is this, ladies and gentlemen, that we get to watch this bracket be unveiled before us, and yes, it will include the Oklahoma Sooners. Been a little bit too long since we've been talking about Oklahoma in the college football playoff. And though Oklahoma certainly has its bits and pieces that the Joel Klatts and others of the world don't like too awfully much, it's not about the matter here in a little bit. They'll go play football in the college football playoff, and they'll have their opportunity to go win a national championship. I'm pretty strongly of the mind that we're going to see Notre Dame's name pop up coming to Norman, Oklahoma, which, if that's the case, man, that's going to be a heavyweight matchup. And I know that plenty of Sooner fans have, you'd like to see Oklahoma exact some revenge over Notre Dame. That's a program that there's no love lost for a lot of Sooner fans. Just the history of Notre Dame snapping Oklahoma's streak, and we were talking about it last week at the end of the week, that 2012 game down here in Norman where it was a game day game and it was under the lights, so much hype going into it, and Notre Dame came in here with Manti Te'o and company and won that thing 30-13. The final score, a little bit misleading in that one. Oklahoma had that chance to drive late to tie it, and gave up the defensive score for Notre Dame to put it away. So I know there's plenty of Oklahoma fans that would love and relish the opportunity to end Notre Dame's season. Of course, Oklahoma, the year right after that, went up to Notre Dame and won 35-21 in 2013, and that's the most recent meeting between the two. So that would be a ton of fun. The rest of the bracket, what does Sooner Nation, what does the Ref Army think out there? Do you have a preference? I mean, feels pretty strong, the idea that you're going to be in that 8 seed, and obviously that would set Oklahoma up for a matchup with Indiana if you can win versus probably Notre Dame, maybe Miami, and if there's a real shocking twist and Alabama doesn't move at all, then after a win over Alabama, where you would march on and meet Indiana in that quarterfinal round. How does everybody feel about that? Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, boy, he's the real deal. That fade ball that he threw into the end zone last night versus Ohio State was pretty money, and had the big throw late to Charlie Becker. Becker made a bunch of plays last night in the Big Ten championship game. That was a terrific football game, but I don't know that you come out of it feeling like Oklahoma can't beat Indiana, and I kind of like the idea of Oklahoma's defense matching up against Mendoza, who, look, he could sling it all over the yard, but I like Oklahoma defensively, their ability to pressure and force Mendoza to be just that, a great passer and great decision maker. His feet, I don't think, would frighten Oklahoma a ton. His arm, absolutely, would be something for Oklahoma to think about. He's a terrific talent, Fernando Mendoza, but I kind of like Oklahoma's defensive chances in that matchup versus Indiana. Two-star Craig in Cleveland chimes in, I'd love to smack that smug look off Curt Cignetti's face. And I know many folks probably feel that way. Plus, we'd be Indiana State champs. Two-star Craig in Cleveland writes into us on the text line here, 405-651-3439. Curt Cignetti, man, has done an incredible job to take that Indiana program that had not won a Big Ten championship since I think the number was 1967, right? The last season that Indiana won the Big Ten championship. And for him to do that in 2 years' time is amazing. But I get it. Sports cliches. The job's not finished, right? Insert your Kobe Bryant here. But I was struck last night by Curt Cignetti. They win the Big Ten championship. They do something Indiana basically hasn't done in almost everybody's lifetime. And the guy didn't look happy at all as the clock struck zero. I'm like, Curt Cignetti, can you at least smile? Can you go shake Mendoza's hand and celebrate a little bit? But that is not how Curt Cignetti is wired. What's the injury report for OU in the playoffs? The 405 asks. That's a good question, and the answer is I don't know. Brent Venables will have a Zoom press conference at 1:30 today. So as soon as this bracket gets unveiled, we'll be live on the air with you on the KREF app. And, of course, coming to you live. Thanks for the many of you that are watching along with our little college football playoff bracket watch party on YouTube. Great to see all of you out there. We'll be live with you until 1 o'clock, and then Brent Venables, about a half hour after that, we'll have a Zoom call with the Oklahoma media. So I guess the point in all of that, 405, is probably get some form or fashion of a clearer picture on what exactly that injury situation looks like for Oklahoma. Okay, the bracket, here we go, ladies and gents, starting to be unveiled, and no surprise, the top seed in the 2025 college football playoff is the Indiana Hoosiers. Mendoza, they're rolling the highlights. Boom, just rifled the dart. The college football playoff reveal show with us, again, brought to us by Landers CDJR Norman.com. Landers CDJR Norman.com. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on their new 2026 Ram trucks. Get the best warranty in the business. So we've got our first puzzle piece here. Indiana, no surprise. They got to be number one in this thing after winning the Big Ten championship last night. And, okay, I would chalk this up as a mild surprise. Ohio State falls just to number two. Ohio State, the number two team in the college football playoff bracket, as we're watching along with you live, this CFP bracket get unveiled. So Ohio State loses the Big Ten championship. Oh, my goodness. That shanked field goal last night from inside 30 yards. Holy smokes. College kickers. That was I'm sure, a moment of exhilaration for Hoosier fans, but that was a shocker. Shouldn't be, because we've seen college kickers do this over the years, but that was a shank, ladies and gents. But they only fall to number 2, so they slide one spot. They flip-flop those two. Indiana number 1, Ohio State number 2. And is Georgia 3 or is Texas Tech 3? What will they do 3 and 4 in this college football playoff bracket? Georgia, number 3. The SEC champion Georgia Bulldogs, number 3 in the college football playoff bracket, which means pretty obviously that Texas Tech's going to be the number 4 seed here. So the Big Ten champion, the number 1 overall seed, no surprise. I, again, would say a little bit of a mild surprise that Ohio State only falls one spot to number 2. Georgia is the number 3 seed in this thing, and Texas Tech, they haven't unveiled it yet, but they're going to be number 4 as the Big 12 champion. The Red Raiders put it on BYU. Some folks, maybe some anxiety early yesterday with BYU versus Texas Tech, but that was not long-lasting. That was short-lived. The Red Raiders, there it is, boom, just popped up onto the screen. The Texas Tech Red Raiders, the number 4 seed in the college football playoff. Texas Tech, 34-7. They rolled BYU yesterday. Baron Morton, 215 yards, couple of touchdown passes. And on a feed from 1945, there's Texas Tech in the Lubbock watch party, buffering like crazy. Bad omen for the Red Raiders in the college football playoff, perhaps. So Texas Tech, the number 4 seed. And now's where it gets maybe a little more interesting. I don't think you'll see a ton of change. There's no real reason for 5 through 8 to shift at all here, unless the College Football Playoff Committee just had a change of heart on Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. I mean, it should just stay status quo to what it was. There's, again, status quo there. Oregon was number 5 in the last college football playoff rankings that we saw before today. They're number 5 right now, which would set Oregon up in not a bad first-round spot. They're going to get either Duke or James Madison. So are they getting the ACC champion, Duke Blue Devils, or are they getting James Madison as the number 12 seed? That'll be curious for the Oregon Duck fans here after a little while. Ole Miss, again, was number 6 in the last college football playoff rankings we saw. So probably that's where Ole Miss is going to find themselves once more. Texas A&M was 7. OU was 8. So we're thinking that OU would be in line to host a college football playoff game, and then if they win, they would battle Indiana in a bowl game. There you go. Ole Miss stays put, number 6 in the college football playoff rankings and number 6 seed in the college football playoff bracket now. We are watching along with you live on the Ref. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. A fun Sunday, right? How about this? Presented by Landers CDJR of Norman. LandersCDJRNorman.com. Their wrap-up-the-year sales event is going on. New 2026 Ram trucks get the best warranty in the business, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. A large selection of pre-owned vehicles at LandersCDJRNorman.com. We expect now Texas A&M at number 7. That would put the Aggies in line, and it does. The Aggies of Texas A&M in line with a win to march on and meet Ohio State. And, okay, it's the Sooners' turn. Time for the Sooner Schooner, baby. Put that Oklahoma logo, put that Oklahoma name up on the board for us. They're showing the watch party in College Station for Texas A&M. Here we go, says Lloyd on the text line. Boomer! Should be Oklahoma now at number 8, we're expecting. Everything else has held to form. I don't see any reason why Oklahoma won't be number 8. There it is, the Oklahoma Sooners, the number 8 seed in the college football playoff. So Oklahoma, hello, baby, hosting a college football playoff game. We felt pretty strongly that would be the case for the Sooners, and now it is concrete. Now it is fact. Oklahoma hosting a college football playoff game. Oh, baby. Oh, mama, as Toby Rowland would say. The Sooners hosting a college football playoff game. And, okay, is it Notre Dame? Is it Miami? Does Alabama stay put? I don't think so. The committee, first big decision coming our way right now. Who's coming to Norman, Oklahoma? And, okay, they're going to draw this thing out a smidge. They're rolling up the resumes on the board. Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami. Alabama was 9, Notre Dame was 10, Miami 12 in the latest college football playoff rankings we had before today. And they're showing Alabama a 10-3 record, Notre Dame 10-2, and all of the little metrics for each. And the suspense, you can build it for just a moment or a few moments longer, but it's time to find out who's coming to Norman, Oklahoma. Oh, my goodness, it is the Alabama Crimson Tide. That is, I think, going to be a shock to many. It's a rematch, Oklahoma and Alabama. So the Sooners will get the Crimson Tide once more. Notre Dame, I felt strongly that was going to be the Irish of Notre Dame coming to Norman. It's not. It's a rematch. It's Alabama. Whoa. So that would qualify as a shocker to many that watched the SEC championship game yesterday. The committee, a strong statement, and they'll have to do some splaining after this full bracket is unveiled. But the committee, a strong statement right here that we are not punishing Alabama for playing in the SEC championship game, though they ran for -3 yards, and it was ugly in a 28-7 loss. Alabama stays put, and it's a rematch, Oklahoma-Alabama. And might Notre Dame be squaring up again with Texas A&M? Wow. That I did not anticipate that for Oklahoma, but that's what it's going to be. Oklahoma, Alabama. Wow. So does Notre Dame stay at number 10? They're going to have the Notre Dame-Miami conversation for sure now. And Tulane, we feel strongly as their conference champion. They're going to get in as the 11, and then there will be a debate between, oh, wow, Miami at 10. They've put Miami in the college football playoff. Notre Dame is going to be on the outside looking in. Wow. Miami's in the college football playoff. They are headed to College Station to take on Texas A&M. There was no indication that Notre Dame would get left out of this bracket. There was no indication from the College Football Playoff Committee at any juncture throughout these rankings that they would value that Miami head-to-head over Notre Dame, but on the final moment they have. Wow. Miami in the College Football Playoff. Notre Dame going to be on the outside looking in. That is the stunner of the day. A couple of stunners here at 9 and 10. I didn't think Alabama would be coming to Norman, Oklahoma. They are. And Notre Dame is in this thing. Or Notre Dame is out of this thing, and Miami is in this college football playoff bracket. Wow. Well, let's go ahead and bring our afternoon host, Mr. Tyler McComas. Live reaction. Tyler, whoa, man, this is a stunner. How do you take this news? Alabama coming to Norman, Oklahoma, and Miami is in the college football playoff. Notre Dame is out.
What just happened, guys? Oh my gosh. I thought that today would have a chance to get a little crazy, but I felt really good about OU hosting Notre Dame in the first round in Norman, which was going to be awesome, and now they're not even in the field. Shocked, man. Shocked. I thought there was a chance that Alabama would get left out today, and they don't even move at all, drop it all into the 28-7 loss. Like, out of all the scenarios that could have unfolded today, I did not see Alabama coming to Norman, Oklahoma. But I'll tell you guys this, like, now that the shock is somewhat starting to go away, it's definitely still there. I don't know about you guys. I don't hate the matchup. I mean, clearly you've already beaten them, and you did it in Tuscaloosa. This is an Alabama team right now that is not playing its best football. And clearly OU is going to have to do some things offensively to put them in a good spot here moving forward. But, I mean, the way that Alabama looked the last time they played a game, which was yesterday, I don't hate this matchup for Oklahoma, guys. I don't know if they'll be favored or not, but I think once again you see that Alabama is one-dimensional. They don't have a run game. OU can get after the quarterback and stop your run game. My initial reaction is shock, but I actually don't hate this matchup for OU.
We're getting Teddy situated in studio as we speak, Tyler. Tulane, no surprise, they're the 11, and now the next debate, Tyler, will rage here. Is it Duke or James Madison in this thing? And who knows anymore? I mean, probably James Madison, right, since they put an ACC team in already in Miami.
Yeah, I would guess so. Do you guys how do you guys feel about the matchup initially? Do you feel like it's an okay matchup for OU? Because like I just said, the way that Alabama's playing right now, I don't really hate this matchup at all for OU.
I love it, Tyler. I honestly, I didn't expect Alabama to be there, right? Like you said, but I was thinking, between Notre Dame and Miami, I'd much prefer Notre Dame. Miami's incredibly athletic. Offensive line is big and physical. Their defensive line is really good. Skill position guys are just super fast. But, Alabama, we saw them once, and it feels like they're kind of beat up right now. And, again, special teams was a factor in that football game, watching the Georgia game. So, honestly, I like the matchup. And, we've owned them lately. So how big of a factor is that? I don't know. But all things considered, I don't think it's all that bad.
No, I really don't either, man. And one thing that you kind of want to avoid in this thing, especially if you're kind of in the, that 8 range that OU's at, that 8 spot, is you don't want to feel like you're running up against an incredibly hot football team,
Right.
A team that, maybe they suffered some early season losses, but they've really figured themselves out and, they're playing their best ball down the stretch. I don't feel that with Alabama, man. Like I might like this Alabama matchup better than I like the Notre Dame matchup. And Bama, clearly they were good enough to get to the SEC championship game, but OU went there and I thought really controlled the game in Tuscaloosa. They, the game at Auburn, that game was close late. Auburn was driving to maybe go tie that game. We saw what they looked like yesterday. The point is I don't think OU is hosting a team that, oh my gosh, this team is playing its best football of the entire season. In several past years, you would say, this is what Alabama normally does under Nick Saban, as they really get it going this time of the year. Not necessarily the team that you want to face, but I don't know, man. Like Alabama's just not the same under Kalen DeBoer. You mentioned it. OU does own these guys, so I'm still shocked. I cannot believe Alabama didn't move at all. But the more I think about it, the more I'm okay. Let's roll. I think that OU is a really tough matchup for Alabama because Alabama doesn't run the ball well. OU's going to shut that down, and you know that they're going to get after Ty Simpson. So all in all, and this OU offense has got to be a lot better. There's no doubt about it. But Bama's a beat-up football team, and they're not playing their best ball. So let's do it. I'm ready.
No doubt. Yeah, I totally agree. I think the interesting thing watching the Georgia game, Georgia looked like learned a lot from the way Oklahoma defended Alabama and just continued to bring tons of pressure at Ty Simpson. Alabama had running backs out, which was a factor, but if you even go back and watch our game, their running backs got absolutely abused in pass protection. So Georgia just continued to dial up. And Ty Simpson's just, not nearly as good under those conditions. I will say this. He threw some great balls in the back half of that football game, but Alabama, they couldn't catch anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and remember all the, live in the moment a little bit here? Remember all those June, July discussions about, oh, man, how awesome would it be if OU were to host a college football playoff game? What would that look like? Well, I thought it was going to look like two blue bloods today, and it is. It's just a different blue blood. I thought it was going to be OU and Notre Dame, and instead it's OU Alabama. So, I mean, we just saw this matchup last year in November, but this is, those summer conversations that we had of what it might look like. This is kind of what you envisioned, isn't it? Oklahoma and Alabama playing in the college football playoff. Again, I'm still shocked that it's happened. I think it's the most maybe Notre Dame being out is the most shocking thing, but this Alabama being at 9 is right up there. But this is what we envisioned, man, when we talked about this possibility of playing a game this late in Norman.
No doubt. Yep. It's going to be awesome. I don't know. They haven't given the times yet, but a lot of people are starting to suggest it's going to be that Friday night game, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the thought. I saw Dari put something out earlier. I think if it was OU Notre Dame, that was the thought. Did he put it like 90% it's Friday night? But, I mean, looking at the other matchups, it's got to be Friday or Saturday. Are you kidding me? Alabama was the most watched team in college football this year, and I think OU was like fifth, I mean, right around the top 5. There's some other fun matchups, but nothing's better or nothing's going to get better ratings than OU and Alabama. So whether it's Friday night or Saturday night, I'd be pretty shocked if it wasn't a night game.
Yeah, what's the other night game will probably be Miami A&M, right?
Yeah, probably, I would guess. Unless they give it to Oregon because it's out on the West Coast. I don't know. But I mean, looking at this thing, do you think OU and Alabama, if just from a general college football fan, this would be the most exciting matchup that's on the board?
Maybe. I think the only reason it's maybe not is if people are saying, well, we already saw this game. I think the Oklahoma-Notre Dame game probably would have been way more exciting.
Yeah.
Because there was so much – there's been talk about the matchup and who should be in and who shouldn't for like 3 weeks now. And, this is kind of like the – I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to gauge what the general college football fan thinks, but are people happy that Alabama's in? Are they mad that they're in despite the loss? Like, how do you think people generally feel about that? And that may have something to do with whether or not they're excited about the matchup, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, the committee's going to have some interesting things to answer, and I think that their rebuttal is probably going to be pretty simple. It's, well, we're not – they played, and a lot of people didn't, So we're not going to punish them, even though they didn't look like some great football team yesterday. I think the committee overall, the fact that they did put Miami in front of Notre Dame, I wonder if they just felt the pressure and they felt like they had to do that. But I don't know, man. It's absolutely wild what just happened this afternoon, man. So who knows how the committee is going to explain this. But, I mean, Notre Dame didn't play anybody. Miami didn't play anybody. And all of a sudden, like, Notre Dame's been in the entire time. And then now all of a sudden Notre Dame's out. Yeah. I mean, how and I think Miami should have been in front of them. They played. Like, we saw it. And Miami really, I thought, controlled that game. But they're upsetting Notre Dame right now, man. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, and maybe this is controversial. I don't know. But here's how I feel. Notre Dame should be in. And BYU should be in. Tulane and James Madison should not be in. That's just how I feel. If we had the playoff that had Notre Dame and BYU both in and James Madison and Tulane out, hey, to me, I don't know that anyone's complaining about anything. It was all pretty much earned. Every one of those teams would be deserving, and we'd be going on about our business. But, I understand the other part of it, and I think, like, on the right year, in the right situation, maybe the right group of 5 team would earn their way into the playoff with a big non-conference win over a traditional program. undefeated, hit all of those check marks. Okay. Under those circumstances, sure, I'd probably be okay with it. But this year, it should be Notre Dame and BYU in front of Tulane and James Madison.
Yeah. If we can get greedy for 1 second, I mean, I know the talk is OU Alabama as it should be, but if you want to take a peek into what could be next if you move forward over Alabama, Indiana's defense, I don't know if it surprised me, but it really showed up last night against Ohio State, didn't they? Their defensive front got after it, dude. I was pretty impressed with Indiana, and that's who you would get in your second game. And if you're able to win that one, you might get Texas Tech in the semifinal game. So that's the side of the bracket that OU's on.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Indiana. How impressive of a win is that really? Because it looks like Ohio State just has a bad offense, you know? Just offense isn't any good at all. No, it may be dumb to say that you'd prefer to play Indiana over Ohio State. I don't know. As good as they looked and as even of a football game, I guess it's just the talent that Ohio State has. It just feels like that is a more dangerous game at any time. You know, the wideout that the wide receivers they've got, the back on defense, all three levels, the great players they have, the physicality. I don't know. Is it just that those guys are more well known? I don't know. Mentally, yeah, you'd rather see Indiana than Ohio State, but
yeah,
I don't know that you can actually justify it that Indiana's not the better football team than Ohio State.
Yeah. I'm still in shock, man, to the point where –
what a game, though, man. That was awesome.
It was a great game. I built all these graphics today. I pre-recorded a Sooners in 60 that will never see the internet because it was OU and Notre Dame and how awesome it's going to be, and created this graphic of OU Notre Dame to post when the announcement comes up. But I'm also going to make an OU Miami one just in case it's not Notre Dame. Never thought that it would be Alabama. And then accidentally posted the OU Notre Dame graphic instead of the OU Alabama one that I had to make on the fly while we were here. So,
hey,
I don't know, man. I'm truly still shocked. Or what's your shock level still that OU's playing Bama in the first round?
I guess, I'm surprised. Whenever that popped up, I've fully expected to see Notre Dame. But I had a feeling that Alabama was still going to be in. And I don't know, how much do you punish them for yesterday's game? You know, you kind of felt that it was built in already that this is probably where they were going to be, and maybe if they beat Georgia, they would have jumped in front and would have been hosting. But pretty surprised. And you know, just to say this, to go back to our point, whenever people were trying to hammer Oklahoma for being the 8th seed. Alabama is thrilled that they are in the playoff, but I guarantee you they are not thrilled that they're playing Oklahoma.
It's a tough matchup for them, man. You know, and as that SEC championship game wore on, like I picked Georgia on Friday, but then as the game really unfolded, even the first quarter, it was, man, I should have been even more confident that Georgia's going to win this game because Bama just didn't have a hope of running the ball whatsoever. Like, this is not – like, Alabama's still a good team. I mean, clearly they're good enough to make it to the SEC championship and be the 9th seed in this thing. But this isn't the same old Alabama. Like, no matter how good your defense is, they're going to find a way to run the football. That's not what Alabama is anymore. So as that game unfolded and I saw Georgia down in and down out, stop their run game, get after the quarterback, it was, man – I should have been more confident because Alabama truly is a one-dimensional offense. Now, that part of their offense for the majority of the year has been pretty good with the wide receivers they have, the tight end they have, the quarterback that they have. But with Oklahoma and what they can do and take away from you offensively, I totally agree, man. Not only because they lost to him previously on their home field, but I think this thing is so often dictated on matchups, and this is a very, very tough matchup for Alabama because – I mean, there's going to be a lot of keys to this game, but Teddy, OU's going to make Alabama one-dimensional, just like Georgia did and just like OU did the time before.
Yeah, and I would imagine Venables and this group probably like this matchup because you got a lot to go on, right? You've got your previous game, you got the Georgia game that you just watched. Because like if you're Notre Dame, it's hard to prepare for someone that hasn't ever really been that tested. Yeah. So how do you know what their critical moments of games gotta have it? Like what are the plays that they're going to dial up? You don't know as much about Notre Dame as you do Alabama. Alabama's been, in a bunch of tight games, fighting to keep their head above water, the back half of the season. So, they've put all of their cards on the table, and they're banged up a little bit at some spots. So, again, all things considered, don't hate the matchup.
Did Cuevas even play yesterday for Bama?
I don't think
was
so.
Was he out? Hey, that wouldn't be a bad break, if he's even out for the playoff game. I don't know how serious his injury is because that was kind of the one guy that you had difficulties with the first time. But, yeah, not only is Alabama not playing its best football, but they're a very beat-up team. Cuevas was out. Jam Miller was out yesterday. So I have no idea if those guys will be back for a playoff game. But what I think is, look, OU's beat up too. Xavier Robinson's not 100%. R. Mason Thomas is clearly hasn't been 100%, hadn't played in a month. But I think that there's a chance that R. Mason is back. Like, the time off may serve Alabama well, depending on the severity of those injuries. But I know it's going to serve Oklahoma well. The 2.5 weeks that they're going to get off, I think OU is going to come back a much, much, much healthier football team than they were last Saturday when they played LSU. And that matters. Definitely matters.
Yep. It does. Here's the dates. December 19th. That's
nice.
it. Friday night. Awesome. 7:00 kick. Norman, Oklahoma. Alabama, Oklahoma. Let's go.
The build-up for this is going to be insane, man. Insane. Friday night game, under the lights, OU and Alabama. That's the good stuff. And I was hoping that OU would get that Friday night game because win on Friday night and just hang out all day Saturday and watch everybody else play.
That's right.
What do you think? And maybe it's out. FanDuel had OU as a 5.5-point underdog to Notre Dame earlier today. People were saying, "What? How does FanDuel already have all the lines out?" Because they had each matchup that they thought it would be in the point spread. Do you think OU will be favored against Alabama on December 19th?
Yeah, minus 2.5 or minus 1.5 probably inside a field goal.
I'm looking right now to see if it's already listed, and OU is a 1.5 point dog at home according to FanDuel. So
wow,
home underdog, but and look, these are
now.
Just point spreads. Yeah, these are just point spreads, and OU was a dog when they went to Alabama, but this same website had OU as a 5.5 point underdog to Notre Dame, and they have a 4-point difference because you're playing Alabama instead of Notre Dame. That may mean nothing. Maybe this was the best possible matchup OU could have gotten in the first round.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
that's true. That's an interesting way to look at it. I know that the feeling's going to be really good. Oh, we already beat them. You're going to have to play another outstanding game. They're going to be prepared. They're probably going to be healthier. There's some advantages that you've got and kind of how they've, like I said, had to lay all their cards on the table and you've been able to see what their weaknesses are, but they're going to be ready to roll. The formula is the same to me. We got to win on defense and we got to dominate special teams. That's becoming an issue for Alabama.
Yeah, no, it is, and you were able to do those two things the first time, and hey, if you got an opportunity to go into game like you did last time against these guys, go take advantage of it offensively, man. Said that a lot this season, but with your pass rush and your ability to stop the run, I bet you create a couple of turnovers like you did the first time around.
Have to.
So,
Have
all
to.
in all, man, talking through it, I'm happy. I'm very, very happy with the matchup that OU just got.
Good stuff, man. Can't wait. Friday night under the lights. Going to be beautiful. All right. That's it. What do we have coming up next, Josh?
Steelman and Thune will be joining us on the other side. Hey, great stuff, guys. Thanks for swinging by, fellas.
Yeah, you bet. See
Good
ya.
stuff. Hang around. More show coming on for another hour.
Hey, Sooner fans, we've got you covered. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
No, we don't get a break.
This is the home of Sooner fans.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
Hey, this is OEC Fiber. Are you tired of slow internet? With our gig speed fiber, your whole household can stream, game, and work at the same time without buffering. OEC Fiber gives you reliable speeds up to a full gig and a friendly local support team in Oklahoma. Ready to plug in speed you can count on? Visit oecfiber.com or tap your screen now. That's OEC Fiber. Fast, local, and trustworthy.
Hey Sooners, I'm OU alum and Boyd Street Ventures founder James Spann. Some players are just built different, and so are some companies. At Boyd Street Ventures, we find under-the-radar Oklahoma companies with the drive, grit, and talent to win big. Our portfolio is growing fast, and so is our investor interest. Fund 1 closes December 31st, so don't wait. To learn more, visit BoydStreetVentures.com. That's BoydStreetVentures.com. Under the radar, above the crowd.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
Wrap up your year with good times and great rewards. Because Riverwind is OKC's best casino.
Feel the thunder when you play your best hand yet.
Catch your favorite entertainment at the Showplace Theater.
And enjoy the gift that keeps on giving when you use your wild card.
Every Friday in December, join us for your share of our $80,000 Winter Wishes giveaway.
Make your season brighter at your favorite place to play.
And happy holidays from Riverwind Casino.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Man, the college football playoff bracket, it is set. And welcome back into the Ref College Football Playoff Reveal Show presented by Landers CDJR of Norman. Check them out online, LandersCDJRNorman.com for their wrap-up-the-year sales event. New 2026 Ram trucks get the best warranty in the business. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Time to catch up with Steelman and Thune at noon. Mike Steely, Parker Thune. The bracket is set. We've got Parker with us now somehow. The phone line dropped off on Mike Steely. I'll get him connected in just a second, Parker. But, man, while we go fishing for Mike Steely, your reaction to Oklahoma drawing Alabama in the college football playoff on a Friday night?
Well, I think you have to really enjoy the matchup if you're Oklahoma for a couple of reasons. One being you're 2-0 against Alabama since joining the SEC. Obviously just beat them in their place down in Tuscaloosa last month. And so I think just from a pure matchup standpoint, how your team matches up with their team, I think there's a lot for OU fans to like. I think there's a lot for Brent Venables and this coaching staff to like. But also from a motivational standpoint, man, to consider the reality that so many across the country immediately wrote off Oklahama's road win over the Crimson Tide at Bryant-Denny Stadium as a fluke. Well, now you get an opportunity to validate that victory. Now you get an opportunity to prove in your building that that victory was absolutely no fluke. And so I did not expect that it was going to be Alabama coming to Norman. I don't think any of us expected it was going to be Alabama coming to Norman. But for the Sooners, I really, really like the way that this sets up.
Steely, what's up, man? Good afternoon. Just got Parker's opening thoughts on the bracket for really Oklahoma's matchup versus Alabama, not the bracket in its entirety. Level of shock, Steelman, when you saw Alabama's name pop up next to OU.
I was surprised. No doubt I was surprised. I heard Tyler and Teddy, wrapping up their portion of their part of the show, and Tyler talking about, I had a graphic for Notre Dame, I had a graphic for Miami, and he'd blown off a graphic for Alabama. So, yeah, I was surprised. I love that it's Friday night, man. That is awesome. We've got to wait till December 19th, 7 o'clock on ABC. But, when you consider the teams that Oklahoma was lined up to possibly play, they're 2-8 all-time against Notre Dame. They were 0-5 against Notre Dame and Norman. Nobody's got to worry about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not even in the bracket. Miami and Oklahoma, the Sooners have they're 2-1 against Miami and Norman, but 3-4 overall. But they are 5-2-1. Parker Thune against Alabama, routed Bama last year in that crazy game, 24-3. Obviously won this year. They also beat Alabama back in 2002. Dennis Franchione and that Tide team that came to Norman, and that was the big Ronaldo Works game. So they've had a good track record throughout their history against Alabama, one of the few teams that does, I'm sure. So, can the Sooners do it again? I think they can. I absolutely think they can. And people talk about, well, Bama had 400 yards in that first matchup. It was the turnovers. Okay, yeah, it was the turnovers that Oklahoma forced with their attacking, aggressive defense, their ball-hawking guys in the secondary, Eli Bowen, Peyton Bowen, they've been great. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Bama had, 80 total yards in the second half. So they really did a great job shutting Bama down in the second half. But I'm excited about the matchup, and I think it's awesome on a Friday night.
What about the rest of the bracket, fellas? Obviously, Notre Dame gets left out of this deal. Did they get it right with Miami?
Oh, man. I mean, look, there was no right answer here, and there was going to be a ton of controversy regardless of what the committee's decision was. That said, I can't be the only one that sees the sheer incoherence of the logic. And I'll be honest, I've been in church this morning. I haven't seen what the discourse has been on social media for the most part over the committee's decision to put Miami in the field and to put Alabama in the field over Notre Dame. But a couple things to take away here. first off, the message to Notre Dame is very clear from the selection committee within the CFP. It's, hey, join a conference. If you want to have a chance to play yourself into the field, if you want to have a chance to play yourself off the bubble on conference championship week, instead of just relying on a certain set of outcomes and dominoes falling elsewhere to secure your spot, well, join a conference. That's the part of the message that's been sent with Notre Dame missing out on the playoff field. But I just kind of think it's wild, gentlemen, that the committee bumped BYU from the field for getting smoked in a conference championship game, while Alabama doesn't move at all in the rankings for getting smoked in a conference championship game. Obviously, I think the most controversial aspect of the narrative will be Miami jumping Notre Dame when neither of those two teams played this week. I feel like if you really wanted to justify that decision to put Miami over Notre Dame, you probably had to move them over Notre Dame a little bit earlier in one of the previous rankings releases. But here's the thing, man. Whoever wound up on the outside looking in, whether that was Miami, Notre Dame, or Alabama, you don't really have a whole lot to complain about because you didn't control the controllables. Notre Dame, you don't want to get left out of the playoff field. Don't start off the season at 0-2. I personally believe out of the three, I think Notre Dame had the strongest case to be in, and I would have had them coming to Norman over Miami and Alabama. But then again, I'm not going to sit here and cape for Notre Dame, go to war on behalf of the Fighting Irish because, well, it was very much in their hands as to whether or not they had a secure case for the college football playoff, and they didn't take care of business early in the season in those two marquee matchups against Miami and Texas A&M. That left them without any true signature wins.
You know, I think that I probably would have had Notre Dame in over Bama. I wouldn't have had a big problem with Notre Dame and Miami getting in. But the problem with Notre Dame, you're right on the money, Parker, getting a conference, that's going to help you. Their best one of the year was against Muleshoe. They also beat 2-10 Purdue, 2-10 Arkansas, 2-10 Boston College, 3-9 Syracuse, 4-8 Stanford. So I kind of get it. But yeah, you know, guys, the real problem for me is also this. Okay, it's a feel-good story in the NCAA tournament, but James Madison and Tulane, particularly James Madison, they have no business being in this event. They have no business being in the playoff. I'm for the little guy. You can make a run. We've seen it happen in the NCAA tournament with a lot of schools, not here. So James Madison is going to go to Autzen Stadium and play Oregon and be cannon fodder for the Ducks. Tulane, because of Ole Miss and the situation there, I like John Summerall. He's headed to Florida. Obviously, Lane's already gone to LSU. We'll see what Pete Golding and company can do. But how would this bracket look if you had, you know, Miami going to Oregon and Notre Dame and Ole Miss? You know, I just think, you know, I don't like, you know, a James Madison getting into this field. Love it in the NCAA tournament, hate it in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and I guess in response to that, what I would say is that's one of the very few things in the playoff field that comes down to objectivity. You know, what we have is we have the 5 auto bids for the 5 top conference champs. And ultimately, the reason we have both James Madison and Tulane in the field is because the ACC was a dumpster fire this year. And 8-5 Duke wound up winning that conference. So I don't have an issue with James Madison or Tulane. No doubt it's going to spur some ongoing discussion as to whether or not we need to modify the college football playoff field to ensure that this type of thing doesn't happen again. But, you know, when we give auto bids, when we extend auto bids to the 5 top conference champions, and 2 of those conference champions happen to be James Madison and Tulane, well, you know, that's not really, of all the things we could be arguing over on this selection Sunday, I don't really take issue with that.
Yeah, and I get it that that's the format and that's the way it, you know, all played out. Some of these, I want to get excited when I look at Bama and Oklahoma, Miami and Texas A&M as first round games. I'm like, let's go. It's going to be great. Love it. I'm not going to have a big tub of popcorn ready for James Madison and Oregon or Tulane or Ole Miss. So I would love to see that change. Let's just go with the best 12 teams. But another interesting angle is that, Alabama's struggling down the stretch, and a lot of that obviously was brought on by Oklahoma going to Bryant-Denny Stadium and winning. They had a tough one as the Iron Bowl can always be kind of a crazy game, even though, one team may have a much better record than the other, but they survived that. They got absolutely pounded by Georgia yesterday, and Kirby Smart gets his second win ever against Alabama. But when you look at what's going on with Alabama, Jam Miller has been banged up. Their number one running back. He was their second leading rusher against Oklahoma in that game a few weeks back. Josh Cuevas, their tight end, one of their better receivers. We talk about the other wideouts, but Cuevas had a 25-yard touchdown catch from Ty Simpson in the Oklahoma game, and Ty Simpson found him 6 times in the Oklahoma game. Is he going to be ready to go? Probably the fact that you're not playing until December 19th. Everybody's got a chance to heal up. For the Sooners, you hope it's R. Mason Thomas. You hope it's Gentry Williams, guys like that. The running back room gets a lot healthier. But I don't know. I just think this is a very favorable matchup for Oklahoma. And you can talk about – we were talking about Bama having revenge in the game earlier this year, right? They were going to be embarrassed. They got their butts kicked by a Jackson Arnold OU team by 3 touchdowns the previous year. Didn't matter. Sooner defense rose to the occasion. Offense made enough plays. So it'll be interesting where the line's going to be at. But I think, again, if you're Brent Venables, got to have confidence you can go out there and do that to Bama again, particularly the way they handled him in the second half.
What about the matchup moving forward? Obviously, going to be a big-time challenge trying to win a rematch versus Alabama. But if you do, it's the Rose Bowl versus Indiana. Steelman, what do you think about that?
Oh, man. I mean, how many superlatives can we throw Curt Cignetti's way? The guy's been unbelievable. And their defense, what they did last night, was very impressive. Mendoza's post-game interview was one of the strangest yet best post-game interviews I've ever seen after they got it done against Ohio State. And that would be great. I would love to see that matchup. And Parker Thune, be going out there to Pasadena with your camera, with those great vistas there at the Rose Bowl, if the Sooners can get it done and play Indiana. And I think they could play with Indiana. So I'm excited about that potential second-round matchup.
Yeah, I firmly believe Oklahoma could play with Indiana. And, look, I think Indiana's the best team in college football right now. I think they proved that last night. We genuinely cannot say enough about the job that Curt Cignetti has done at a place that historically has had no business winning football games and winning conference championships and being the number 1 overall seed in the freaking college football playoff. But that said, I don't think the gap between Indiana and the rest of the field is substantial at all. I don't think the gap between Indiana and Ohio State is substantial at all. I don't know that there is a clear upper echelon right now in college football, and so it feels like anybody's game in this playoff field. And so should Oklahoma get past Alabama to set up that Rose Bowl matchup with Indiana, first off, what do we know about Oklahoma fans? They're going to travel. They're going to make the Rose Bowl feel like as much of a home game as it can in Pasadena, California. And also, man, as you know, I'll take any excuse to go out to the Rose Bowl, one of the historic venues in all of American sports. Haven't been out there since 2019 when OU visited UCLA, and the potential of that matchup with the number 1 team in the country and a team that I firmly believe Oklahoma could upend, man, that's really, really an exciting prospect. So you got to take care of business first, beat Alabama, hold serve on your home field, and then it's a 3-game sprint to the finish line with 7 of the other best teams in college football. But I am salivating at the thought of Oklahoma going to the Rose Bowl to face off with Curt Cignetti in Indiana. Love it, and ultimately, if the Sooners have a championship team in 2025, that is when they're going to prove it, is on that field in the Rose Bowl against the Hoosiers.
Parker, I know that we'll hear from Brent Venables at 1:30 this afternoon reacting to a rematch versus Alabama, but I'm sure he'll get asked as well, what does the injury front look like for the Sooners going into this thing? Any early intel on that into the equation for OU? How healthy are the Sooners?
Yeah, we'll see how R. Mason Thomas progresses. Obviously, I think the expectation is and should be, at least for the moment, that he is back and he is active. Gentry Williams, I'm not as optimistic. But ultimately, you have Eli Bowen, you have Cortland Guillory, and you have Jacoby Johnson, who's played well at cornerback down the stretch to offset the potential absence of Gentry Williams. And the big question to me, and hopefully Venables is able and willing to provide some more clarity on this, if not later today, then certainly down the line, is does the fact that you're now into the postseason and guys can play without affecting their redshirt status, does that mean Kendall Dolby and Javonte Barnes are going to be available? Because those are two guys that, I don't know if they're game changers. I don't know if they drastically change the outlook for Oklahoma, but those are two dudes that add value the second they step on the field for Oklahoma if they're available for this playoff run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and getting R. Mason Thomas back, I think, like you do, Parker, that probably would be the case. Gentry Williams, you never know. But, some extra time for those running backs to heal up. Blaylock, I thought, looked pretty good in the LSU game. He had some of his bursts back. We know that Xavier Robinson is crazy banged up right now, but he's tough as a boot. So it's going to be a fun matchup, man. I'm just sitting here thinking about how long it's been. When you think, back to a playoff appearance back in 2019, and that was a rough go against Joe Burrow and LSU when they put 63 on OU and probably could have scored 100. But for Sooner fans, when we were thinking, man, Parker, you and I both had Oklahoma 9-3. And I remember thinking, is that a little too optimistic? Are you swallowing a little too much Crimson Kool-Aid here? But to be 10-2, hosting a first-round playoff game with all the talk about, is Brent going to be back? Is Oklahoma, really going to be a realistic threat year in, year out in the SEC? And some question marks with both those questions that have been really answered by this team. And I know the offense has been very inconsistent, has struggled. The defense has been spectacular. You've got great special teams, best kicker in America. But the program just feels like it's in a great spot right now, and that has to excite Sooner fans. And I love that Oklahoma, gets the Friday night game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great environment. Who knows what the temperature might be, but it's really cool that the Sooners be playing the first game out Friday night.
Anything else really jump out to you guys about this bracket? I mean, obviously we've had the Notre Dame-Miami conversation. James Madison, probably you felt pretty confident they were going to get into this bracket over Duke once you saw Miami's name pop up. But who's got the best path in this thing, Steelman?
Oh, man. Well, I think probably you got to look at the 1 seed. They usually have the best path, but I think Oklahoma or Alabama. I think the Sooners beat Alabama again and have to work for it, but that could be a great game. I've got a lot of respect. Well, I don't have a lot of respect for Texas Tech because I hate Texas Tech. But, that's what happens. That's how you get the Women's College World Series Championship Series, and you become the 4 seed in the playoff is you get a oil baron selling off his companies and buying their way to the postseason. So I want Oregon to crush Texas Tech in round 2, but, they've got a good defense. Baron Morton, the only game they lost was when Baron Morton was out at Arizona State, so they're pretty tough. But I would say, Georgia, Ohio State in a semifinal would be big time. I think that's probably what you're looking at. And probably Indiana, Oregon would be the way I would go, but I think the Sooners have a pretty good chance. With that Texas Tech team, as much as I despise Texas Tech, they're pretty salty on defense especially.
We've got like a minute here, fellas, so just some final thoughts on what we saw today for OU.
I love it. I think, again, surprised, yes. Would it have been cool to see those golden helmets in Norman again? Yes, or Miami. But I like the matchup for Oklahoma, and the Sooners have a really good track record against Alabama, 2-0 against Bama and Norman, so I like it for OU.
I think I like this one more than I would have liked Oklahoma going up against Notre Dame or Miami. So I think it all sets up nicely for Oklahoma to get a third win in the span of, 13 months over Alabama on their home field, and then, hypothetically at least, match up with Indiana in the Rose Bowl in a game that I also believe is highly winnable for the Sooners. But it's go time now. You know what the path looks like. You know what the field looks like. Now Oklahoma has to come out and play their best ball for 4 games. And the great thing about the 12-team field is that as it stands right now, doesn't really feel like anybody's head and shoulders above the rest. So Oklahoma's just as capable of holding the hardware at the end of this as anybody in this playoff field is.
Gentlemen, thank you guys for carving out a little bit of time on Sunday. Can't wait to hear the rest of all of your thoughts this week, gentlemen.
Enjoyed it. See you tomorrow, Parker.
Thanks, Josh.
There you go. Steelman and Thune at noon, which, the title gives it away. You can hear those guys every Monday through Friday at noon right here on the Ref. Download the KREF app, and you can listen worldwide. We've got a ton of people following along on YouTube. We're streaming live today, which is pretty cool. I see 300 or so of you in there. Somebody just asked, is it definitely confirmed a Friday night game? Yes. Oklahoma's playing Alabama on that Friday night to open the college football playoff. We say hello to Dari Nowkhah right here on the Ref. Dari, what's up, man? Good afternoon.
What's up, brother, man? What a Sunday. All kinds of controversy, man. But it's great. I'm sitting here in the SEC Network, and we've got a show coming up from 5 to 7 Central Time. And I think throughout the course of the day, we're going to be talking to coaches. And as I told you off the air, if I get caught, we've got a Kalen DeBoer interview lined up here, but it might not be for like the next 20 minutes. So we may be just fine. But what a day, man. It's crazy.
The College Football Playoff Reactions show right here on the Ref and streaming live on YouTube. It's brought to us by Landers CDJR of Norman. Check them out online, LandersCDJRNorman.com. Their wrap-up-the-year sales event is ongoing. New 2026 Ram trucks. You can get the best warranty in the business, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty from Landers CDJR. Well, okay, so we've heard from the personalities that be at the Ref, but what was your level of shock? What was your reaction to Alabama doesn't move at all? They don't slip. They're coming to Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I didn't see it, man. I thought the committee would leave them in. Because the committee, I really don't believe the committee wants to go and fight the idea of conference championship games dissolving. I don't think they want to be responsible in any way, shape, or form for that. And I do know that had Alabama been booted, Greg Sankey would have had something significant to say. So, they don't have to listen to that. I honestly thought Bama would probably drop to 10. And that would be Bama at A&M, and then, of course, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, or Oklahoma, Miami. And the more I've thought about it, I was actually very much, and on SiriusXM this morning, was very much in favor of Miami being ahead of Notre Dame. Going back, looking at that head-to-head a little bit. So I actually expected it to be Oklahoma hosting Miami when that was announced. But, no, man, surprised, like the matchup, obviously, of all of the teams in the field that are not group of 5 teams. I think Alabama's the one that is most beatable. I look forward to BV spending the next couple of weeks figuring out how to dial up even more pressures to throw them off. Now, of course, it's in Norman on a Friday night like I had suspected for a long time, and here we go, man. I love it.
Well, there's obviously going to be a ton of reaction to Notre Dame getting left out. What message did the committee send? And we can go there in just a moment, but your reaction to 5 SEC teams getting into the college football playoff. What do you think is the reaction in SEC headquarters, so to speak?
Oh, they're thrilled. I know they're thrilled in Birmingham. This is a league that we were certain there were going to be 4, and I think most of us thought there should be 5. We talk all the time about the depth of this league, and it's unlike the depth in any other. I'm not saying anything against Indiana or Ohio State. Indiana and Ohio State, to me, are sensational football teams, and Indiana was unbelievable last night to watch them. And that turnaround that Coach Sig has engineered is unbelievable. But the Big Ten, we talk about this on our show. They're very top heavy, and the SEC is very deep, and that depth does indicate, I think, that they should have 5 in this field, and I'm glad that the SEC does.
Well, the rematch is here for Oklahoma. How does this thing set up for the Sooners in your mind?
The game sets up well. I mean, I think they match up really well with Alabama, obviously. In the question, can Bama somehow, some way find a run game in the next 12 days? And I don't know that that's likely. You know, they're banged up at running back. I don't know. You know, Jam Miller didn't even play yesterday against Georgia, so I'm not sure what his status is going to be. Ty Simpson, I go back to the OU game, Josh. I think since that game, Ty has been nothing like what he was before that game. He looks rattled in the pocket, even when he's well protected. His feet are all over the place. His accuracy has really dissipated. And so, you know, in 12 days' time, is that going to get significantly better? I have a hard time thinking that, especially with what Venables, you know, is capable of doing and scheming defensively. So, you know, I like OU at this point in that game. And then, you know, Indiana in Pasadena would be something. That would be an incredible, incredible scene, but I almost kind of want to worry about that when we get there.
Sure. Yeah, you got to go beat a very good Alabama team to get that chance at Indiana. Just crazy how this thing has unfolded. Notre Dame is the first team out. BYU is that next in line. I don't think that's a big surprise with BYU, but look, I was surprised that Notre Dame got left out. The head-to-head, I get that element certainly for Miami, and I'm a proponent of Miami getting in over Notre Dame. I just didn't think it was going to happen, Dari. What message did the committee send today?
Yeah, one, I think they had tried to protect them as much as they could. And in the end, I think the message is, you know, go find a conference, right? I mean, I really do. I think that the fact that their schedule strength was not good, and that's heavily because of the ACC teams that they have to play as part of their agreement to be in that league and all the other sports. That brought their strength of schedule down. You know, if the Big Ten wants Notre Dame, it's probably in their best interest to go. You know, if the SEC ever did, it would be in their best interest to go. But they want to keep riding this independent thing, which ultimately is what killed their strength of schedule, which ultimately is what made none of their 10 wins so impressive to the committee that they could, in the end, look past losing to Miami. And, you know, Hunter Yurachek did something that I did too last night and this morning. He went back and he looked, and he told his committee members, I challenge you to go back and watch the Notre Dame-Miami game. And they did. And I watched a lot of it back yesterday, and then I was looking at a lot of the other stuff from there. You know what? Miami controlled that football game for three quarters. Miami had outgained Notre Dame through three quarters, 277 to 177, and had a 21-7 lead through three quarters of that football game. Miami dominated the majority of that game. And you know the committee, like we heard them last week, talking about how they justified moving Alabama up a spot. That gutsy fourth down call they talk about. They're running the ball, you know, like whatever. Nobody can run against them. Or they found some holes in the Auburn defense. They want to be football talkers and see these things from a football perspective. Well, if they went back and watched that game, as Hunter Yurachek asked them to do, then they would not just see that Miami eked out a one field goal win that they had to battle back from. Miami gave up a 2-touchdown lead in a game it dominated the majority of. And so not only was it a head-to-head win, but I think it was a head-to-head significantly dominant win. They like to talk about game control a lot in that room. Miami controlled the vast majority of that football game. I just think it was going to be harder to keep them out and put Notre Dame ahead of them. But the other thing is, like, if you're in that position, don't have Miami behind Notre Dame until right now. Make that move earlier. And if they're two spots behind them and you can't flip it, but if they're right behind them, then you can, that seems like somewhat faulty protocol. So I think that the right team is in. I just don't know that we got there the right way.
Dari Nowkhah is with us. It's the CFP Bracket Reaction Show right here on the Ref, presented by Landers CDJR of Norman. I'm Josh Helmer. We're streaming live on YouTube as well. So I see, look, we've got hundreds in the watching along, listening with us, and streaming live as we speak. So if you've got a question for Dari while we've got him hanging with us, please, by all means. I'm watching the chat. I'm monitoring it as we speak. So send one on in if you'd like to. Alabama, I'm looking at opening early odds for this college football playoff. Alabama, according to FanDuel, a 2.5-point favorite at OU.
Are you kidding?
Alabama's favored. What do you make of that?
Wow. Well, I don't understand it, honestly. You know, but here's, like, odds makers know that the general public is going to look at Oklahoma and say their offense is no good. And offense is what people look at to determine oftentimes, unless you really, really watch the game like we do and like our listeners do, if you don't have a great offense, then you can't be a very good team. And I think that Vegas knows that, and I think they understand that. And I think Alabama will get plenty of bets placed on them because Oklahoma can't run the ball, or it's hard to beat a team twice. But, yes, I am shocked by that, to be honest. That is completely discrediting Oklahoma's defense. But, hey, what's new with that, right? We know the Chris Felikas and the Joel Klatts and the Danny Cannells of the world have already been doing that.
The other opening odds out there, this is via FanDuel again, Texas A&M, 3.5-point favorite over Miami. Ole Miss, no surprise, big favorite versus Tulane, 16.5-point favorite for Ole Miss. Oregon, nearly a 3-touchdown favorite against James Madison, 20.5-point favorites, Oregon. So that's the opening first-round odds in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I've always been supportive of the group of five having a spot, but I'm telling you, man, that it is no fun, honestly, when you're going into these matchups. You're going to get one game in Oxford, Tulane and Ole Miss, that's already been played this year, and Ole Miss beat them by 5 touchdowns. And you're going to get another one where James Madison is absolutely going to get run out of the place in Eugene. It's nice to have him included, but until one wins one of these games, I'm really starting to get away from that idea that it's a must or that it's necessary, especially if you're going to tell me James Madison has the same chance or has a chance to play for a national championship and 10-2 Notre Dame doesn't. But yet we're looking to really put the best teams in this college football playoff. I'm kind of getting away from the inclusive angle and becoming a little bit more exclusive, which doesn't necessarily make me proud, but that's kind of where I'm finding myself right now.
Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commish, obviously in the lead up to the Big 12 championship game, was asked about the future of the college football playoff, and he said, hey, we're still in favor of the 5+11 model, 5 highest ranked conference champions, 11 at-large bids, but he wasn't confident, Dari, that they were close enough to tweak anything fast enough for next season. Big picture here, does this, I think you're right on the money, there's going to be a lot of discussion twisting toward we got to get rid of the conference champions, just get into this thing, the 5 highest ranked conference champions. It's, I think, the conversation, Dory, is going to start, hey, let's just put the top 12 ranked teams in, top 16 ranked teams in, whatever it looks like. I think we're going to see that conversation really heat up some different conversations as it pertains to the college football playoff moving forward.
Yeah, and they gave January 23rd as the deadline for the SEC and the Big Ten to kind of come to terms on on an expanded plan or on any plans to change the format. And January 23rd is at the end of the college football playoff. And I think that if you look at a Tulane getting housed, if they get housed again by Ole Miss and James Madison at Oregon, you're going to have more people saying, what are they doing in this thing? Like, I think that those teams are great in college basketball. They're great in baseball. I think that sometimes they're great in softball, right? But in a sport that is often won and lost in the trenches by size and speed and strength and physicality and all of these things that the group of 5 teams inherently don't have as nearly as much of as the Power 4 teams, I don't know that we can look at football the same as those other sports and say, yes, we need to have the potential for a Cinderella story, because I just don't think we're realistically ever going to have a Cinderella story in that sport.
Which, it's funny you say that. I was just going to read this text to you. Bumpy Roads, OU is a Cinderella again.
Cinderella Thursday lives on, brother. It lives on. I was listening to Cinderella in the car on the way to work today, just so you know. Like, I'm like, it doesn't have to be an only Thursday thing, but it is a thing that must be on Thursdays, no doubt about it.
Well, we'll let you cut out. I know you've got some interviews coming up, Dari, as you get ready to continue breaking down this bracket and the dust settling on the reality of this thing. Your final thoughts on the bracket that we've got today?
I'm happy with everybody that's in it. I mean, I guess following the letter of the law and the rules, then that's why you're going to have Tulane and James Madison. I'd love to see, what if Notre Dame and Vanderbilt had been in, or even Notre Dame and BYU. But I mean, Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, very deserving top 4. I like the way it lays out for Oklahoma. The defense travels, and it would travel to Pasadena if they can get by Alabama this time. Doing the show tonight with Roman Harper, and he saw that matchup, the great Crimson Tide player, and he looked at me and he says, "Oh man, the Oklahoma problem continues." Alabama has one, so it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait for the show tomorrow, buddy. We're going to line up a bunch of interviews. We'll do a lot of Alabama content, obviously, it's time to chug along and work towards a game that we've been waiting for a long, long time. So. This is exciting, man. It really, really is. And by the way, tonight, we're still working to try to get Brent Venables or a Sooner player on the show. So I'll let you know if we manage to do one of those interviews, and people tune in for that. But I do know this here in a little bit. I'm going to interview Kalen DeBoer, and plan is to pull that right off, and we'll run it on the show tomorrow for anybody who misses it tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be an easy week of radio, my friend.
It will, man. It will be that.
Hard to kill these Sooners. Dari, hey, man, we appreciate it, and I know you're very busy reacting to this in real time, so thank you for carving out a little bit of time for us, man.
Absolutely, brother. Have a good rest of the show. I'll talk to you in the morning.
Okay, will do, buddy. See ya. That is Dari Nowkhah, the lead anchor of the SEC Network, and, of course, the host right here every morning from 9 to noon, the Dari Nowkhah Show on the Ref. Let's reset a couple of things here before we bring in TJ Perry to bring the house down, baby, on our college football playoff reactions show. The college football playoff reveal reactions show is brought to us by Landers CDJR of Norman. Landers CDJR Norman.com. They've got their wrap up the year sales event going on right now. New 2026 Ram trucks. You can get the best warranty in the business. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. They've got a large selection of pre-owned vehicles at Landers CDJR Norman.com. I should invite everybody as well. We'll find out. I know, look, understandably so, our attention is going to be on the college football playoff. But we got all sorts of bowl games that will get revealed today as well. And we always enjoy our bowl pick'em, and we invite you to join and play along with us for our annual bowl pick'em as well. Our Bowl Mania group, the Refs College Bowl Mania, is courtesy of the Hal Smith Restaurant Group. Join the K-Ref group named Unhitch the Wagon. So you go in for Bowl Mania, search Unhitch the Wagon, and you can pick all the bowl matchups based on confidence points before the game starts. So, okay, you think Oklahoma is beating Alabama, that's what you're most confident in? Boom, you rank that as your highest pick. And did you play Bowl Manias with us last year? It's even easier if you did. You just go to ESPN.com/BowlMania, log into your ESPN account, and hit rejoin group next to Unhitch the Wagon. The Refs Bowl Mania is brought to you by Hal Smith Restaurant Group. Spread some joy this holiday season by giving a Hal Smith Restaurant Group gift card. One card gives the gift that lets you choose one of 14 different Hal Smith Restaurant Group concepts, and they're all awesome. Give the perfect holiday gift this year by visiting your local Hal Smith Restaurant Group or halsmith.com today. Let's see. TJ Perry, yes, is connected. TJ, good afternoon, my friend.
What's going on, guys?
Well, we are reacting in real time. The college football playoff reaction show presented by Landers CDJR of Norman. OU's in. We knew that was going to be the case, TJ. We felt pretty confident after the way the conference championship games unfolded yesterday that OU would stay at 8 and they'd be hosting a college football playoff game. We maybe weren't so confident that it was going to be a rematch versus Alabama, and yet that is what has been served up for Oklahoma. OU, Alabama, it'll be Friday night on ESPN, Friday, December 19th, 7 o'clock kick, prime time, that opener to the college football playoff on either ESPN or ABC. What was your reaction when you saw Alabama's name scroll across the television screen?
I thought that they would drop one spot, so I thought they would come in at 10. I did think Miami was going to slip in past Notre Dame, so I was kind of thinking it might be Miami, Oklahoma. So when Alabama didn't move at all, there was a outward wow that I let out. I was not expecting that, and I did think that Miami would jump in there and that the committee would have to put an ACC team in there and that Notre Dame was going to be the one left out. But exciting, man. It is exciting to be there and to be hosting this game and have it be Alabama. I mean, it's always big time when Oklahoma and Alabama play, but when the stakes are a home playoff game like that, it's going to be so exciting and such a build-up in Norman for that.
How confident are you for Oklahoma now going into this thing? Alabama, according to the opening odds, FanDuel odds is what I'm going off of. Alabama's a 2.5-point favorite in this rematch between the Sooners and the Crimson Tide, but Alabama's banged up. Looks like they're kind of stumbling to the finish line here. How gettable is Alabama in a rematch for Oklahoma? What do you think about the matchup, a rematch for the Sooners?
What was the yardage difference yesterday in the SEC championship game? I mean, come on. Alabama stinks. What are you talking about, Josh?
That's right. They're no good.
You know what? It is always scary, that whole, hard to beat a team twice in one season. So you've got that situation out there. People are going to try to sell the revenge factor like Steely was talking about earlier, but Steely's right. Alabama had that going into that game in Tuscaloosa. So I think it's a good matchup. I like it better than some of the other potential matchups that you could have had, especially with the way teams are playing right now. So I do think it's a winnable game, and I do love the fact that they avoided Ohio State. That game last night and the way it played out, that was one thing. I thought OU was solid at 8. I did not think they were going to move up. I didn't think they were going to get bumped down. So for me, it was about avoiding that side of the bracket with Georgia and Ohio State as long as you could. Maybe that's me disrespecting Indiana a little bit, but I just think that matchup with Indiana, potentially in the Rose Bowl, if you can get past Alabama, was better than if Ohio State or someone else was sitting there. So I love the matchup. I love the opportunity for them. Heck, Josh, beginning of November, I'll be totally honest. I still wasn't on the air back with Plank yet, so my opinion wasn't out there a lot. But going into November, I honestly did not think this was going to be the discussion with this team. A lot of people didn't think that was going to be the discussion with this team, that they were in the playoff, that they were going to be hosting a playoff game. I thought the narrative was going to be, do they need to move on from Brent Venables? The turnaround that they had in November and what they've built through that month and what they can now continue on with, just the opportunity is just massive, and just an incredible job that he's done to turn this thing around and to be where you're at hosting a playoff game. It is just awesome.
Based on what you've seen, the past month and change, if you will, can Oklahoma go win this national championship, given the cards they've been dealt here?
They've got to find a little bit more offensively. I think that's, that goes without saying. But I don't think it's a lot. Like, if they can just find a little bit out of the run game, if John Mateer can just be a little bit more accurate than what he's been, and I've said for this past week now, and I'm going to keep saying this, I think this time off for his hand is good for him. I know he's been telling us it's fine. I don't know that it's been fine. So you get these 20 days of rest on that hand where you can kind of control the environment and control what's going on and practice with it. And if you can find your feel, if you can find that grip again on the ball, and he starts becoming a little bit more accurate, that's all they need, just a little bit. And obviously, don't turn over the ball. Don't put it in harm's way. But I think some of that is just that hand and what he's dealt with and the feel of the ball. And I do think this time off will be good for that. So if they can just find a little bit, then yes, I don't think there's a runaway clear-cut team in this thing right now. The number 1 overall seed, Indiana, is a very, very good team. It is an incredible story. But when it comes down to the situations that you're talking about, when you ramp up that level of intensity, are they going to be ready for that stage? I'm not sure about that. So I do think Oklahoma, if they just sure up a few things on that offensive side of the ball, can go win a championship. This defense is good enough to carry them. You just have to have a little bit from the offense.
The full bracket, in case, for whatever reason, you're just joining us on the YouTube side. Thanks for hanging out with us and streaming along our ref reaction show for the college football playoff today, presented by Landers CDJR of Norman. It broke down like this. First round buys go as such. Indiana, the top seed, Ohio State, number 2, so they just slip one spot. Ohio State would be waiting for the winner of Miami and Texas A&M for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Obviously, OU Alabama, they're potted up with Indiana. It would be the Rose Bowl game if Oklahoma handles its business at home. That's pretty exciting. Number 3, Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Number 4, Texas Tech, the Capital One Orange Bowl. The rest of the bracket told you 7-10 game in College Station. It's Texas A&M. It's Miami. Winner there would meet Ohio State. Ole Miss, the 6 seed, they take on Tulane. 6-11 game. Winner would move on and meet Georgia, of course. Oklahoma, Alabama marching on to meet Indiana. And last but not least, the 5 seed Oregon, the 12 seed James Madison. Winner would play Texas Tech again in the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame, did they get it right?
Yes. Yeah, I think they did. All along leading into this thing, I thought it should have been Miami. I don't know why they kept it the way that they did. And I realize Kirk Herbstreit and some of the others are like, well, they've got to see a full season and then make their determination. But you've got to give credit to head-to-head some. You've got to give credit to Miami and what they did in that game. And I thought all along they probably deserved to be in over Notre Dame. So I think so. I mean, Notre Dame's going to have to make a decision when it comes to this conference thing. And there's a part of me that loves the wall and the old school that they're trying to protect here. But when it comes down to it, you're going to have to make the determination to get into a conference if you don't want to keep having this happen to you, because you can't control your strength of schedule and what you may think your schedule is going into a season, and then it becomes something different. And when you take 2 hard losses like that at the beginning of the year, it makes it tough. So I think Notre Dame's got a decision here. I think Dari was hitting on that a little bit ago, and I kind of agree with that. But when it comes down to it, I thought Miami deserved it more for their body of work and the fact that they had that head-to-head win over them, even if it was early in the year and Notre Dame is playing really good football. I get that, but I do think they got it right in the end.
Yeah, and it's what we always say about the NCAA tournament. It's why they got rid. Remember, for years and years, TJ, in the NCAA basketball tournament, we'd be hyper-fixated. Okay, what does that Final 10 look like for a basketball team? And then they got rid of it, right, to make it a full collection, a full body of work. And I think that's the illustration you got today in this one, that the full body of work includes Miami's head-to-head victory over Notre Dame. And though I sat here and said the committee has told you they don't value that head-to-head win, Miami versus Notre Dame, let's stop having a conversation about it, because there is no conversation. The committee has told you week after week they're not going to have that conversation. Well, they pulled the rope-a-dope. At the last minute, they did apply the head-to-head, and I think they got it right. I just didn't think they were going to do it.
You've got to apply the head-to-head. They had a job today, too. They had to protect the conference championship games, and they had to protect those non-conference games at the beginning of the year. And they did both of those today with not moving Alabama in their situation, and by putting Miami in when it came down to it, it became the head-to-head that got them in over Notre Dame. You had to protect those two things. It puts you in a difficult situation because there probably were some scenarios you could play out to push Alabama out of this thing. But if you did, suddenly nobody's wanting to play in a conference championship game. And if you put Notre Dame in, suddenly then you're having a very difficult time at the beginning of the college football year having teams and programs agree to play these matchups. We've already heard Sark talk about it with Texas. You know, when he was trying to make that push last week, which I get what he was trying to do, but you had 3 losses. You had a bad loss to Florida. But he kept bringing up the fact, like, had we not played that game, we would be in the playoff right now. So they had to protect that to a certain degree, and the conference championship game, and I think you saw that today.
The prevailing thought out there seems to be that they're so close to a perceived deadline for making a decision on any tweaks or changes they would make to next year's college football playoff bracket that probably you're just staying with the same format you've got this year, TJ. So, okay, we might not be talking about the 2026 season here, but what impact does this college football playoff committee, their decision to leave Notre Dame out, James Madison obviously gets into this thing over Duke, the ACC champion, Miami gets it. I mean, what is the biggest change that happens down the road based on the way that this college football playoff bracket came together?
Down the road, sorry, James Madison. Sorry, Tulane. Sorry, the rest of you. You're going to have to go find your own playoff. I mean, you've got to put this in a situation where it's just the 12 best teams, and you gave the point spreads a little while ago. You see how Vegas sees these matchups and views these matchups. And in my opinion, Notre Dame's more deserving than one of those two teams.
TJ.
BYU's probably more deserving. Yeah.
Ole Miss was a 16.5-point favorite versus Tulane. It's
Right.
gotten bet up already. It's 17.5 now. Oregon was
okay. Well, there you go.
Oregon was a 20.5-point favorite versus James Madison. It's gotten bet up already. They're a 21.5-point favorite now.
I'm an elitist and a snob, Josh. Toby hated that for years with me because I hated the little guy. But my thing is, I don't need to see you. I don't need. And when it comes to football, basketball, Dari hit on this. Basketball, it's great. When you get the Cinderella and that upset and that buzzer beater, it's great. Football, I don't need to see you in there. I don't think it's cute at all. Can James Madison come along some years and knock off an opponent in that first round? Sure. Can Tulane? Sure, every now and then. Do I think they deserve to be there and I need to see that? Absolutely not. I would rather see BYU and Notre Dame sitting there or whoever it may be in the conversation that I actually think has a legitimate shot in those 11th and 12th spots if you're going to slide those teams in like that. Because, as we see, Tulane and Ole Miss, we've seen this, It was 4 or 5 touchdowns, something like that. So we don't need to see this. So they're going to have to make that tweak, and they're going to have to figure out what they want to do with these conference title games. I realize there's millions of dollars involved, but I think they're going to have to restructure this whole thing. I think it was maybe it was Joey McGuire, whoever it was that was talking about the other day about sliding everything up. I agree with that. You slide everything up. You pull this national championship game hopefully to New Year's Day weekend. It adjusts the calendar where maybe you're not having the situation with the coaches bailing on teams and not being there coaching them in the playoffs or certain players jumping into the portal. Maybe you can help alleviate some of that. I think everything's got to shift up. Maybe get rid of those conference championship games and have this thing play out to where the national champion is decided on New Year's Eve, and we kind of crush some of that calendar situation that you're dealing with right now with coaches and players in that portal. So I think those are the biggest things that we got to see.
Trey on the text line. Finally, something I can agree with TJ with. Get the group of 6 out of here.
Get them out of here. I don't want to see them. I don't need to see them. Go have your own playoff. Go let Tulane go play for a national title. And I think they deserve that. But Dari was right. When it comes down to it, when it comes to the big boys, I don't need to see you in football at the end. It's cute and all, but it's not basketball for me. It's not the NCAA baseball tournament. It's a spot that the big boys belong in. And in my opinion, sorry, you don't belong there. Now, I've said that, and Tulane and James Madison are going to go out and both win their first round games this year.
I don't think so. I think you're going to be right on the money. I think Ole Miss,
so.
Because Ole Miss comes into this thing and they're motivated to show that, they're not just a product of Lane Kiffin. Oregon, I just think, is flat out a lot better than James Madison. So, okay, could one of those two teams, Tulane or James Madison, make it interesting for a little while? Well, sure, they could do that, but I don't think either team knocks them off. I don't think we're going to see a big upset.
No, I don't either. And I think it's going to play out the way Vegas is seeing it and probably be, 2 and 3 touchdown games at the end and those two teams moving on easily.
TJ, you are the man. Thanks for carving out a little time on this Sunday. It's a fun Sunday, though, right? We get to see OU back in the college football playoff bracket.
OU's in the playoffs. Big-time Friday night matchup with Bama. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than your season being over right now and you're just waiting on some bowl game announcement, So this is going to be fun.
Yes, indeed. Much, much better to be in this position. TJ, hey, thanks again, man, for taking a little time on Sunday with us, and we'll look forward to hearing you and Plank bright and early tomorrow morning.
All right. Appreciate you and Grayson, man. Thanks for jumping in there today.
No problem. We're happy to do so. We are right here at the finish line. Thanks to all of you, Ref Army. Sorry we didn't get to hit a ton of those texts out there. I know many of you are watching along on YouTube. You've had plenty of great comments in there. We'll of course, engage with you all week long and into the following week and into the college football playoff. We'll have more time for that in the weeks ahead here. This was, happening in real time, and we wanted to get a taste of everybody from the ref here with you live on this college football playoff reactions and reveal show. Big thank you to Landers CDJR of Norman. They've presented this college football playoff reaction show, and they've brought us all of the rankings on the college football playoff. So we appreciate their support of us, Landers, CDJRNorman.com. That's where you can check them out. Online, they've got their wrap-up-the-year sales event going on. New 2026 Ram trucks get the best warranty in the business, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Their large selection of pre-owned vehicles at Landers, CDJRNorman.com. Well, that's going to do it for us. It's Oklahoma. It's Alabama, baby. On a Friday night, December 19th, it'll be 7 o'clock to open the college football playoff. Battle of the Crimson and Cream and the Crimson Tide once more. We'll talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow. Thanks for all of your texts. Thanks for joining us on the YouTube stream. Until tomorrow morning, I'm Josh Helmer saying so long, everybody.
Paid for